Welcome to this tutorial video explaining how to use mAb-X-mise kits from Proteomics. The kits are ready to use for the quantification of specific mAbs. They allow straightforward analysis of patient plasma samples using targeted tandem mass spectrometry, coupled to liquid chromatography, LC-MS-MS. The mAb-X-mise kit contains all the necessary reagents for its implementation. It can be used for 4 distinct sample batches. The overall workflow consists of 6 steps. First, sample collection and preparation, then a purification step, followed by sample drying and enzymatic digestion. Finally, after stopping digestion, mass spectrometry analysis is performed. The first step is sample collection. Buffers A and B will be required. You should also prepare the plate plan for the experiment. Fill buffer bottle A with 100 ml of water and bottle B with 12.5 ml of acetonitrile. Check the box on the bottle label when this is done. Ensure that each sample tube contains at least 20 microliters of plasma for the preparation, and then proceed to the next step. During the sample preparation step, the mAb-X-mise plate, buffer A, calibrant and quality control samples will be required, as well as an aluminium film. The objective of this second step is to match the mAbs contained in the calibrators, quality control or patient samples with the stable isotope labeled mAbs, mAbs, developed by Proteomics. First, carefully remove the mAb-X-mise plate from its plastic packaging. Each well is coated with the seals corresponding to the kit used. These are internal standards necessary for accurate and robust mass spectrometry quantification. Add 80 microliters of buffer A to each well to be used in the experiment to allow good solubilization. Then, to each well in the first row, add 20 microliters of the 6 calibrants and 2 quality controls. Then add 20 microliters of each patient sample to the wells according to your plate plan. Cover the plate with an adhesive aluminium film. Place it on an orbital shaker for 1 hour to resolubilize and homogenize the samples. 10 minutes before the end of the hour, you can start preparing step 3, sample purification. For this step, you will require the mAb-X-mise, Pure-X-mise, waste and collection plates, buffer A and B, as well as an adhesive aluminium film. The objective is to simplify the sample matrix by purification to retain only the antibodies and SIL antibodies. The Pure-X-mise plate must first be conditioned to allow efficient purification. The resin is fragile. It's best not to turn the plate over or shake it roughly. Conditioning involves adding 200 microliters of buffer A to each well used. The liquid is eliminated using a positive pressure manifold or by a short centrifugation. Once the Pure-X-mise plate has been conditioned, place an adhesive aluminium film under it. The sample from the mAb-X-mise plate can then be transferred to the corresponding wells. Incubate for 1 hour to allow the compounds of interest to bind to the resin. Remove the aluminium film and place the waste plate underneath the Pure-X-mise plate. Wash the resin by adding 200 microliters of buffer A to each well. Discard the liquid and repeat these steps 3 times in total. To collect purified compounds, place the collection plate under the Pure-X-mise plate. Add 100 microliters of buffer B to each well to elute the compounds of interest. Incubate for 10 minutes before collecting the solution using a positive pressure manifold or by centrifugation. Repeat this step once more to recover all the compounds of interest. The collection plate now contains the mAbs, as well as the SIL mAbs. You can now proceed to the next step. For the sample drying step, only the collection plate is needed. The objective is simple: to dry the samples to be in the best conditions for the enzymatic digestion step. A nitrogen flow evaporator or a speed vac can be used to dry samples. The time required to achieve complete drying varies depending on the system used. For the 5th step in the workflow, the enzymatic digestion, collection plate, buffers C, Cut-X stop, and Neutral-X are required, as well as the vial of Cut-X-mise and an adhesive aluminium film. During this step, the peptides of interest are obtained, which will subsequently be analyzed by LC-MS-MS. First, add 30 microliters of buffer C to each well used. Cover the plate with an adhesive aluminium film and mix for 10 minutes to resolubilize the dried residue. Following this step, all the wells should be colored purple. If any wells show a yellow coloring, add 5 microliters of neutral X buffer to it. The solution should turn purple, and you can then progress to the next step. At this point, gather the necessary number of mAb-X-mise vials. Each vial contains enough enzyme to digest 40 samples. Add 200 microliters of mAb-X buffer to the mAb-X-mise vial. Vortex for a few seconds and let it rest for 5 minutes. Next, add 5 microliters of this solution to each well to start the digestion. It is important to cover the plate tightly with aluminium film to avoid evaporation during incubation. Place the plate in an incubator at 37 degrees Celsius overnight. The next morning, remove the cover and stop the digestion by adding 5 microliters of mAb-X stop buffer. At the end of this step, all wells should be yellow. If it's not the case, add another 3 microliters of mAb-X stop until all wells turn yellow. For the final step, analysis, only the collection plate is required. The objective of this step is to analyze the samples using the PROMIS method to create the calibration curve and determine the patient data. Samples can be analyzed directly on the plate or can be transferred into vials with inserts. Insert the plates or vials into the mass spectrometry system and run the analysis. Once you have established the standard curves, interpret the patient data. Thank you for watching this video tutorial explaining how to use mAb-X-mise kits for simple and effective sample preparation.